Hello, everyone. Hopefully, it's working. If anyone in the chat can let me know, Madlib, I can see you there. Martin, I would be grateful. Let me get rid of the mic because I'm getting a bit of feedback. Stand by. All right, hopefully you can hear me and see me. Today, I want to really test out this whole process in a solo go. I previously did one with Martin and crew a couple of weeks back. Feels like it was months ago. And I just want to experience this process. I'm using new software and just see how it feels. I got some advice from Martin, and I think really his advice was just jump in and sort of work out the kinks as you go along. As I do these, I predominantly will be focused on mocks. But for today, just for the test session, I want to focus on a BrickLink Designer build, just because it's easy and it allows me to focus a bit more on the tech and actually being able to navigate these programs as well as hosting and building. So hopefully this will enable me to do a much better performance on Thursday, and on Thursday I'll be building a mock. Thursday will be a rubricable mock, and then the following streams will be adapting that, breaking that down, and building a Children of the Corn mock based around kind of the movie themes that I enjoy most. So we'll jump in, and today we'll be doing this build, which is the Antique Shop BrickLink Designer Program. I think this was the Series 5. I am not by any means going to be doing every single bag. We will see how it goes for the next few hours. And we will go from there. I am going to try and run a build cam, which sounds fancy. I'm going to try and run a separate guest from my phone so you can watch the build. There may be connection issues, but we'll see how we go. So I will pop this open. So I think one of the things that's important to say probably for me is that I generally don't buy Lego sets anymore. I will buy the BrickLink Designer, but the majority of my money, my expenditure, my Lego spend goes on BrickLink and buying parts and sourcing parts for mocks. That in and of itself is an expensive experience, not necessarily just for the parts, but anyone that's ever used BrickLink will know the postage as well. So it tends to add up. So one of the great things with this series is they create a lot of builds that are really nice for adapting. I recently, a couple of weeks ago, did the Camping Adventure, which was a caravan. I'm in the process of adapting that to be a snatch scene. And there's a couple of others that I'm adapting as well. So we'll see how we go. This one I'm not quite sure about, but it was one of the builds that, excuse all the noise. So like anything with BrickLink, they don't have printed instructions. So what I'm going to do is quickly pull up those. If anyone else is building this set or has built this set, drop a comment. I'd love to know what you think. I never thought I'd say those words. I'm determined not to say that like and subscribe, but I just said it, I realised that. I'll jump up these instructions and we'll get on with the build and we'll test the technology. How's the sound? How is the video? You can see me. I think this cam's a bit better than the last one I tried, ASMR to the max. Yeah, sorry. I always, when I'm watching London Calling, I always jump out of my skin when Gaz starts shuffling around in his pots, and Greg always has to silence him. Right, let's get this up. One of the things I found really challenging when we did the BrickLink Designer build on stream a couple of weeks ago was that it's really hard to build and have conversation as well and maintain engagement with the people that are watching. It's really interesting because a lot of the time I'm obviously building on my own, usually sort of early hours of the morning, and there actually isn't anyone else around, so I don't have to talk to anyone, so I just sort of get on with it in silence. So it's a bit strange to have the demands of an audience, which is why I was glad for the first one I wasn't doing any of the hosting. But we'll see how we go. These instructions are taking a while, which is not a great sign for my internet connection. So I think we'll probably, you'll be surprised, start with bag one when I can find it. Another thing I'm realizing as I go along, and I'm trying to keep notes, is there are certain things that you definitely need for this process. One of them would be a build tray so that pieces don't fly everywhere when you're building. Again, when you're on your own, that's not such a bad thing. It doesn't particularly look great when you're streaming on cam, on YouTube. So that's one thing. Another thing's better lighting. At this point, I've got a light that I use in a light box on the floor, but it's shining directly into my face, which is exposing the chins. Yeah, I do notice on the streams that the only person who, from the streams I've been in, who seems competent enough to really, well, Martin just made the point that it takes about an hour to put together 100 bricks, is Jules, Jumper Plate Jules, who seems to fly ahead despite engaging in detailed conversations. I don't know how he does it. So we're going to start with bag one. And I can see that this is part of the truck. So this will be part of the truck, which we look on the box, snazzy number here. So again, I'm going to try and do this build cam, but I suspect this will be where we potentially run into some issues. Let's see how we go. Okay. Bag one. One of the things I tend to do with purchase sets as well, and the sets I review, if you follow my Instagram, I'd be most grateful. But I do a lot of third-party set reviews, and I'm going to try and move away from that and move towards exclusively building and reviewing BrickLink models, rebrickable models, I should say, because I think some of the models that are available on rebrickable are just amazing, and the people's awareness of the site, how it works, its link with BrickLink, and how you sort of export parts by instructions, I think is quite limited. And definitely for me, sort of discovering that was a sort of eye-opening experience. And to be completely honest, it definitely moved me away from building, from buying and building Lego produced sets in store. Not to say I don't. I think the last one I purchased was what's it? Stranger Things, Creel House, which I still haven't built. Another one that I recently did I purchase it, or am I about to? I think I need to buy it over the next couple of days. Is the Wally set, which I saw. I was heavily influenced by a review by Jumper Plate Jules the other day, and it looks like a really fun build, and I love that movie. And I'm all about movies. Movies are the predominant sort of source of inspiration for a lot of the mocks that I build, or the adaptations that I make to existing models. I think I try to be very careful to say that when I'm developing mocks, displaying them, putting them on Instagram, that it's not necessarily the case that they're all sourced from my imagination. A lot of the time I'll be heavily influenced by things I do see on rebrickable, and just kind of expand out from there. One of my favorite builds, one of my favorite mocks recently was Big Trouble in Little China, because I just absolutely love that movie. I think it's probably one of the most sort of memorable movies I have as a kid. And I went on Rebrickable and I found that they had a truck on there, his truck, the sort of famous truck from the movie. And I really wanted that, but I also wanted to build out from there and add more to the scene. And sort of that was how that mock came to be. So a lot of it is inspired by existing kind of builds, but sort of exploding them out. But it really is one of the, it's really been nice for me moving into building my own stuff and displaying it, because I've been, like most of us, I think I've been into Lego since I was a kid. It's always been a significant part of my life. And I think that over the years, it's something that I've tried to sort of bring back into my life, because I think, and again, I'm sure everyone will agree with this. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know, but it's actually an amazing tool for being mindful. And a lot of the way the world's designed and structured today is to just kind of keep us on those screens, he says, as he's doing a YouTube live stream. Keep us on screens and keep us kind of not mindful. And again, I'll readily admit that Lego sometimes can be a mindless activity. I think, for example, like sorting bricks. I'm sure anyone that's a Lego builder will have multiple tons of loose Lego laying around, and I think actually sorting that Lego and working through that process I wouldn't say you're being mindful, because you're, in a way, because it's kind of an automated task, it's kind of mindless, but it's a much better way, I think, of kind of escaping and getting some mind rest than the other things that are available to us. So I think for me, re-engaging with Lego was really important in terms of well-being, sort of your sort of mental wellness. And also I love it. I think it's probably one of the main things from childhood that I remember. I have a lot of great memories around Lego. And anyone that's been on the Instagram will see over time a lot of pictures from when I was younger with some sets that I still wish I had. Some that I do, but some I still wish I had. Is that coming along? You cannot beat. No, you are completely correct. There's something about sorting bricks that is just comforting. Nick just said, looking at how much you spend on BrickLink, I think I heard that there's a way that we can actually go onto BrickLink and look at our expenditure. I will never do that because I sit here talking about sort of being mindful, but I really don't want to know how much I spend on there. It's unfortunate because the biggest hit that I think I take on the BrickLink is postage and packaging. It just hits you. Yeah, it's a big expenditure, and I just don't think that I want to know. But I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm not spending money on other things that are sort of unhealthy. Is that a good enough excuse or reason? I'm not as bad as others, but I do have a habit. One of the great things I also really appreciate about building rebrickable designs or working with BrickLink with those kind of designs is you can also purchase, rather than purchasing brand new bricks, you can set your criteria to do used bricks, right? And some of those used really vary. Some used is more used than others, if that makes sense. Some of it comes and it's in a state, but you can also save money there, and you can get some really nice models. For example, the one I'll be doing on the next stream on Thursday will be a red barn, and this barn it looks amazing. One of the issues, of course, with these. One of the issues, of course, with these designs is sometimes they they don't necessarily always have the same structural integrity as the Lego built designs and as some of these BrickLink ones. But yeah, you're right, Martin. I do need to find someone local and do click and collect. That would be the dream come true. To have, I mean, based on all the parts that I currently have, I could probably start my own, but I imagine it's more trouble than it's worth. And also, I'd just be in my own stock all the time. Then you've only spent £4 on BrickLink in total. Like, that's I believe you. I'm not sure that'll work on anyone else in your house. Yeah, there's so many benefits to the rebrickable and the BrickLink system. I really do enjoy it. I also felt for a long time, I mean, this has changed a bit. I see sets now that get my attention, but I think it's because they're building more adult-based sets, but for a long time I felt like there was a lack of things that I wanted that were catching my eye, and I think that kind of drove me away from buying the sort of shop designed, the official Lego put out sets. You know, it's got some nice. Keep showing this to the wrong camera. I like the mirrors. I had real trouble with mirrors in a lot of builds recently. I've been trying to buy like mirrored cards and things like that to apply them. I did a labyrinth mock recently, and I really wanted to put on the back end of it a mirror so that it gave the illusion of a really long tunnel, but I just couldn't get the right stuff in the right time, and I tried to put one out every week. I think I'll probably start moving away from that model because I think it's affecting the quality of the stuff that I want to put out. But yeah, I like that they've added the kind of chrome. I can't remember what that color is, what that color is, whether it's chrome or. But I sit here and I'm talking about sort of moving away from mainstream Lego sets, and I saw yesterday that on Friday that Wally thing, and I'm instantly trying to buy it. So maybe I can move back now. They're sort of heavily leaning into adult-based sets more than ever. I'll tell you one thing for this set that I actually like. We'll see how it goes as we progress, but it's when I'm building sets, I always talk about this in my reviews that I do for the third party. I love when you move along and they give like little delights, like moments where you're like, oh, that's good. Oh, I can see that coming together. And I also was missing that in Lego for a long time. But I think now it's more there. Again, it depends on the set. So that's pretty much bag one. There you go. Just let me know if the audio drops out, guys, and I'll correct or try to correct. This program, StreamYard, is actually really good. So it's a really nice way to. I don't know whether I've not done this without it, so I don't know whether YouTube operates the same way when you're just using that platform in itself. But this seems to work really well. Lets you organize everything. It's good. Practice test. So there you go. Bag one. A half done truck. Bag two. And there's going to be some. Takes them off. I said I wasn't going to finish this tonight, but we'll see. Good. I'm glad the audio is working. So we've got our first fig. So I was, again, I've said I stay away from builds, but I'm about to lean into that not being true again. One of the builds I saw recently that I liked was the Tintin one. I so much so that I did something I don't normally do and went into London to buy it in store. Unfortunately, they'd sold out, which I could have found out if I'd have checked beforehand, but I didn't. But I think it's still sold out online as well. So there's our first minifig. So I'm definitely for all my mocks, and also I think just generally speaking, I am definitely a bit of a snob around these figs. So none of my all my figs use, I don't know how you would describe it actually, but like I don't use yellow skin tones for any of the figs that I display in mocks. I don't like it. I have a preference more for getting closer to the sort of real person song. But there's that man, even there in front of the car for a minute. Oh no, we won't, because we've got to get on with that. So yeah, generally all of the mocks will have the flesh tones. Thank you, Martin. Will have the flesh tones. I prefer them. I think when I try to, with a lot of the movie ones, I'm trying to get really close to detail, and I feel like the flesh tones help you get there a lot easier. So I have a preference for them, get you there in terms of not drawing you out of what you're looking at. It's one of the reasons that I prefer Instagram as a platform, because I think that one of the things I love about the builds or the mocks is the detail, and also being able to, I'm not a great photographer, but being able to capture that in your images and then add music to it, and even lighting that trigger people, so they sort of remember, they get nostalgia, you know, there's nostalgic sort of throwbacks to a time when they may have watched that film, who they were watching that with. It's one of the reasons I build the models that I want to build in terms of those mocks rather than sort of requests, because it's all about the films I love. So if you look through there won't be one film that I don't completely love. And the ones coming up, we have Hot Fuzz, I'm really having trouble with, just because I don't think I've done it justice yet. So I'm still working on that. Field of Dreams will be soon. That's being dealt with by, oh look, advertising, probably shouldn't do that, but Snot Bricks, they're custom making me some of the baseball players, because I couldn't find there was very little in the way of uniforms anywhere, so they're building me something at the moment for that, which will be nice. I'm also doing one with United Bricks, who do the military minifigs, and they're kindly providing a batch of minifigs, and I'll be doing sort of a cross section from Saving Private Ryan and the landing at the beginning of the film. I'm not a big military film fan, but any of the mocks that I do around military always do really well on Instagram. And I think that the first I ever did was Inglourious Bastards, but that was a tricky one to do. But I think a 5-second clip of that on Instagram, I wouldn't say it went viral, but I think by the end, I think it was getting on for going upwards to a high number of views. But they always do well. So I'm hoping the Saving Private Ryan one does well. I also love that movie, so it's an easy one to do. I think if you love the things you're doing, you can really make something better of it. Yeah, I won't get that confusing. I did nearly say Saving Ryan's Privates, but I tried to correct myself. But since you dumped it in the chat, Martin will. That's a very different film, but not one that I wouldn't create as a mock. And this is why I need a build tray. So working on the back lights here. This is going to be, well, dependent on whether I do any more of these, Martin, are you just going to hang around in the chat and make me say inappropriate things? Right. And another good thing I should say about getting back into Lego is community. I've always, I'm big on sort of wellness, and maybe not always as well as I could be, but big on the idea of wellness. And I think that community is a big, important part of people's lives. And I think that I love the way they go in these bars. I think that the discovery of a community that is extremely supportive, not at all judgmental, and very inclusive has been a really nice experience. I've really enjoyed sort of reconnecting and getting back into that and meeting people who are now in the chat trying to give me support. This back bit is quite nice. I quite like, I'm not sure about the color, but I like the design of this. Again, this tends to be what I do. I'll start building something like this, and then I think, if I just made some adaptations here, this would look like the truck in, you know. Nice. An important part to note, there is a sticker that goes here on the back, and it is the registration plate. And there is a sticker sheet. However, you can see the sticker here. I do not, in any builds, apply stickers. I think it's to do with just mock building generally. I think that there's nothing worse when you're building a mock that you pick up a piece you need and it's got a sticker that's on it, and the sticker has been there for a couple of years and it's a nightmare to get off. I find it really irritating. So I tend, also another thing that I'll do is not on the mocks but on the bought sets, I'll often, after I've built them, I'll often reverse bag them and sell them on. Not trying to make a profit or anything, but just because I'm done with them, I've built them. And it's nice to send them on with a sticker sheet intact for someone who does want to apply them. So that's generally why I don't apply them. But you're right, Martin. That's a nice little sticker. So it's the pirate one. And I understand, I understand all the reasons why there are so many stickers in set, the cost implications of printing everything. But there is something nice, and I do enjoy it in the third-party sets, the fact that you have nearly everything printed. Now this is interesting. So you've seen I've just literally just opened that. Look at that brick, that windshield. Completely buckled. I think that is probably the first time in 40 odd years I've ever had something broken in a Lego set. Crazy, huh? They'll replace it, obviously, but it doesn't necessarily help here. Let's see if it'll still go on. Still goes on. Yeah, that is very mangled, but it still goes on for now. I've got loads upstairs as well. I've always generally as well. Stayed away from, mainly because I can't say the word and it gives me anxiety, but vehicles. I've always generally stayed away from them, even as a kid getting sets. But sometimes they can be really nice in mocks. Like I said earlier, the Big Trouble in Little China truck. There's another mock that I've got, which is a Final Destination one, which is the truck with logs on the back going into the, like, using them in those spaces makes a really nice. Yeah, that isn't really clicking in. It's really nice. You can see that buckling is quite severe. So I guess as a host, I should ask: has anyone built anything this weekend? Building anything now? Got anything? Any future plans for builds? What's the lunchtime build tomorrow, Martin? The Final Destination triggers a primal fear. It does. I really love displaying those mocks, and it has never been the case that people haven't come along and seen that that Final Destination one and been like triggered by it. Every single person looks at it and they buckle up. I think it's such a, those logs going into the front of that car. Now for the conventions, I tidied that up. On Instagram, it goes through the window and there's like glass and blood everywhere. Not blood, but red trans studs. But I do try to sort of make it appropriate, but all the adults that walk past it, I'm sure that in their head that's all they see, just it going through the front of the windscreen. Got a few more habitats for my next show. Nice. Where's your next show, Nick? You've got Martin. You've got Spider-Man 3 set to do at work. Spideyverse, Sandman, and Venom. I love those. The new Spider-Man sets. I do like them. I used the what's the one where I can't remember which one. Is it a Miles Morales one where it's the store, the store where they go in and they do the robbery. I used that and I converted that into buildings and shops for a my brain's gone, for a training day mock with Denzel Washington. And it worked really nice for that. I feel like it had the right vibes. But the problem is it's such a good model that when everyone saw it, the first thing they were thinking of was I just modularized the Spider-Man piece rather than, oh, it's training day, because it's just such a nice looking piece. So this, unfortunately, because of the buckled glass there, this doesn't really give the satisfaction of the click with the lid. You can see it's kind of gapped as well. Spider-Man Across the Spider, that's it. Yeah, those are great movies. Exeter, your next show. Who's that with, Nick? I really need to start doing the shows again. Apart from anything else, it's good. It's nice to get out and show people the mocks, and it's also a nice way to get some Lego vouchers. Brickfest. Yeah. I was having a look for some today that I could go to. I really wanted to go to Reading, but I completely dropped the ball completely dropped the ball on it. And I messaged Mike, who runs that, today, and they said they'll reopen it and they'll give me, but they can only give me one table. And I don't know if anyone was, well, I know Martin was, but at Bricktastic, if I do display the sort of film ones, I really need to do them all as a big group, and it's 6 tables. The only other thing that I could do is my Western Town, which I've only displayed a few times, but I'm not sure that even requires 4 tables, so one table probably won't be good enough. But it was nice of him again. Like, this is what I mean about the community. I messaged him Sunday. He was back to me straight away. Yeah, I can reopen it for you. I'll give you a table. You know, just nice people. Have you, out of interest, Nick, have you done any of the? I see that Exeter one's with Brick Festival. Have you done any with National Brick events? And did you? What's your experience been of both of those, if you have done them? I don't want to start any drama, obviously, but I'd just be interested to know. I love these are the things I'm talking about, where they're like little delights. Just like you're using plates to brick this out, and then you start applying the slopes and the tiles, and it just comes. They're just nice. They're like a gift, like a little. Oh, here you go. Here's a reward for your work so far. That's how I think of them, anyway. The more of them, the better. There are some builds where you just don't get them. I did a third-party one recently, which was Boulogne Cathedral, I think, and it looks amazing. It was beautiful, but it was very, very, very challenging. It took a long time, and it was a lot of small piece work, which I don't mind, but it wasn't giving you any delights for the 25 bags that led into sort of the final part. I love that front. Really nice shape. You've done a few with MBE, yeah. I like I've never sort of built my own stuff, so I'd never been to a convention. I'd never done anything like that. And one of the first events that I went to was with National Brick Events. I think it was in Coventry, and I was really nervous because I'm like, well, I'm going to be around people who have been doing this for years, people whose hobby it is. You know, it's going to be really challenging. But actually, they made. I think it's Nick that runs it. Another Nick. Or Neil. It's Neil. Neil was amazing. Really, really good. So it was a really nice first show. But I spent hardly any time at the display. It was really awkward for an introvert that is now live streaming. But really awkward for an introvert to sort of be standing in front of stuff, and I just kept running away from the display, really, and leaving it to itself. But now the stuff that I do now, the movie stuff, I love displaying that, because you can talk to people about the movies. Like everyone, there's usually a movie that everyone will know, or that somewhat, like, you wouldn't walk away from that table not knowing any of the movies. You might if you were a kid, I guess, but most of the movies are known, and it just gives you, people will talk about, oh, I love that movie. Did you know there's a director's cut? Did you know this actor is in this? Did you know they're talking about a sequel? And I just love having those conversations are really easy. So we just shaped the bottom off. I like this truck. One of the things that will be a worry about building mocks on a stream is the constant requirement to get up and go and find the pieces, you know. And I think this applies to a lot of people, because I think I can't remember her name. Someone in one of the streams was speaking about it the other day, that you are constantly having to go and borrow bits from other models. So like I'll walk around and I'll take for example, this truck. If I'm doing something that requires yellow slopes, this is going to be really vulnerable. And I'll normally take the yellow slopes off and just try and remember mentally I took them from there. But it usually ends up that I just forget. And then I have bits, sort of models sitting around waiting to be repaired. So there we go. I think that is the truck, albeit with a buckled window. It's nice. I like it. It's kind of like, I can imagine sort of pimping this out a bit. Although this fella will probably need to change. Right. Well, that is that bag. Let me just check, make sure I haven't done what I have a habit of doing, which is skipping tons of steps. No? Good. So, first two bags are the, vroom vroom. Other truck, and the third one we're now moving on. Bag 3. The actual base plates and building. Normally, I would Mills plate this out, but again, it required me to be often in other rooms, so I'm not going to do that today. I also don't have a city per se. But the plan one day will be to get an actual space where I can do this stuff. So mind that ASMR. It's one of those internet is watching your every move things, but the other day I was thinking about the need for a build table here. And I forgot where I was going with that. I was thinking about a build table and having trays so stuff doesn't fall out everywhere. And then I started getting fed content online about tray desks and Lego building desks, and I hadn't looked for anything. It knows what we're doing. It knows our every thought. So we're on the next minifig. This is a lady with glasses. And you'll be proud to know, Martin, if you're still there, that I built it exactly as per the instructions. So you get upset. So there she is. I like that hairpiece. I'll be able to use that. Yeah, I can definitely use that that broken window. 100%. There'll be a mock that requires me to break a window at some point. As I look at this, I think this is, I mean, I won't go any further until we go tonight, but this one's coming together quick. I don't know if anyone else, if any of you guys built the Western General Store, BrickLink Western General Store. I built that because I wanted it for my Western town. The proportions were a bit out of whack with mine, but that thing took ages. Ages and ages. I love it, but it took a long time to put together. A really long time. But this one seems like it's probably going to be quite quick. And I do like to savor builds. We had, because I do a lot of those third-party reviews, I was, there's a couple of reasons why I do them, but one of the main ones is just I feel like the pricing of Lego, even though I understand it, I understand those prices, really cuts a lot of opportunity for people to access stuff out, especially people who are less financially secure. And I think that, albeit some of these models, these companies aren't great, there is a significant portion that do provide quite nice models at accessible price points for kids. And I worry that kids won't necessarily be able to access this stuff in the same way that I used to. And, so as we're starting with the base paint. One of the things I've noticed with the BrickLink the designer plates for the bases of the buildings, the foundations, they always use curves. That's why I started talking about the Western, actually, because it has a lot of curves. But it makes it really hard to, not hard, but awkward to mills it. Yeah, you're right. The buildings do go together quite quickly. I left this for a while, just life. But when I came back, the thing that brought me back to this was the police station. And I built that. That was the first modular I'd ever bought, and I built that, and I loved it. And it just brought me back to this. The first time I built it, I did a really painful stop motion process where I tried to keep it in place, and I just took pictures one brick at a time. And it was a lot of work, but it was definitely, it made you more focused and present with the build. And I just enjoyed that whole experience of building the police station. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a really nice one. The most recent one I did, or that I really liked, was the Jazz Cafe, but not the one that Lego released. It's a rebrickable, and it came out. It was out quite a bit before, and it was a repurposed Market Square. Market Square, is that what that model is called? And I didn't build Market Square because I didn't particularly fancy it, but I bought the set to build the rebrickable. And that rebrickable Jazz Cub is probably my second favorite modular. It's really nice. It's enormous though. It's got multiple floors, the bar, really, really nice build. Right. when is the if you're still there, Nick, when are you in Exeter? When are you doing that? I was thinking today one of the issues with the Bricktastic thing is the sort of post-Bricktastic blues. It does feel like a lot of effort, especially with you, Martin, with running the soapbox thing as well. So much effort goes into that. I guess maybe you don't have the same level of withdrawal because you're running that for months afterwards. But it feels like there's definitely a kind of a bit of a withdrawal process to that event. Yeah, this is coming together too quickly. It'd be a nice size though. I think if that gives you an indication of the structure of the building, that's quite a nice size, not sort of overbearing. So I look forward to the lunchtime build tomorrow, Martin. After I try and remember to look. I always forget not to look at yours, but just forget to follow up with things. I think, oh, that would be good, and then my mind wanders. Have you decided, or anyone rather than just sitting here talking to Martin, but Martin as well, has anyone decided what they're going for with regards to the next BrickLink series release? The Designer Program release. Yeah, Soapbox does draw out the experience for you, I can imagine. It is over and done too quick. It's a lot of build up and then it's just gone in a flash. All right, so we have the start of the base. So I guess, Martin, you're actually going into withdrawal now. I should have just put you on this stream, just invited you. I just didn't want to shame you with the tomfoolery. So, bag 4. Yeah, I guess that when you run Soapbox-tastic, it gets to a point where you had so many entries, it's kind of exhausting. And then you're probably hitting the come down now. So on bag 4, which is a small bag. Oh, we got another thing. Should probably have a look at how she's built. She's a little one, a little happy one. I always see, when I see people streaming and they always do this, which I think is about the focus, right? I'm desperately trying not to do. There you go. Little lady, little girl. She can go with those two dudes. Right. One of the things I also do when I'm building is listen to books. So it's a bit strange. Messed it up. It's a bit strange not to be listening to an Audible. I've been reading, I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm on the second book. There's about 100 books. But it's really, really good. I can highly recommend it. If you love gaming and some dark humour, it's a great series. Martin said we're pretty well organised. You were pretty well organised. Last year was work because it was all new. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the daily grind of having to create the content for the stories for the voting is enormous. It seems like you think it would be a straightforward thing, but I can imagine there's a lot of pressure there, because if something goes wrong, I didn't realize how seriously people took that. I'm definitely going to, if I'm lucky, well, I will be there. Well, I hope I'm there, because I've just booked the hotel for Bricktastic next year. But yeah, it's interesting that. Oh no, I've gone wrong again. No, I haven't. It's interesting the way people look at it and take it like really seriously. Like some of the canvassing was like an election campaign, and I remember building the model like the night before and just thinking, this is just a bit of fun, but I can be part of it. I've obviously seen Martin plugging it and you guys plugging it on London Calling. It'll be fine. Go into it and then realize how seriously everyone takes it. That's like, oh no, I've not bathed myself in glory here. This is actually a serious event, and I'm just there, sort of half-arsing it with something I knocked up the night before. I'll definitely put much more effort into it next time. If anyone doesn't know, at Bricktastic, one of the things that Martin and a couple of guys run is Soapbox-tastic, and you build your mini Lego soapbox, you ride it down the hill, and then it's what I love about it, which I didn't realize, is you leave it then for the whole of the conference, and kids and adults as well can come up and run, like pick carts from the participants and run those carts down the hill, which I think is a really nice, a lot of work, reassembling all the cars when they inevitably smash to pieces, but a really nice thing to do for people at the conference. And then after the event, what happens, when you're there, you get a picture of your car on the sort of winner's pedestal thing, and then you enter online, and then Martin does what he's been doing for the last couple of months, which is run daily competitions with 4 carts paired up against each other, and everyone selects a winner, and then it ends in the finale. So it goes on beyond the conference, and I don't think I realized that either. Yeah, you. I remember Martin's just saying in the chat how his wallet's going to divorce him with this new BrickLink Designer series coming up. But I remember speaking to you at Bricktastic, and you seeming to me to be a person who was really restrained about their Lego buying. And I was surprised, because normally people aren't. But you were like, right, I'm looking for the deals. I'm doing this, and then the frequency of the the purchases is beyond my expectation of what I had for you. That's a bad thing. Just an observation. You would like all the models except the chain from the new series. Yeah, I'm not I like the train. I would go for the train for the Western town. The only problem is that I probably will be displaying that Western town in some form at the next Bricktastic, and trains are a nightmare to run on displays. Like, just building a train myself for that Western city and running it at home was a complete nightmare, a disaster. It's always falling off. And I watched Jules at Bricktastic displaying a train, and that thing was a nightmare. An amazing display, a ton of work by him, but he spent the whole thing just repairing it and constantly on it, trying to get it to where it needed to be all the time. And I think he has said how that affects the experience of the conference. So my preference in the newest lineup was the train, but I do like the there's a diner. I think I like the diner as well. The diner's quite a nice build, so that might be something worth getting, because I think I could adapt that. I was thinking Pulp Fiction or something like that with that diner. Although there's other diners from the BrickLink Designer series that would also be very good for that, but probably cost me more now because they're. Yeah, and I think that's what I saw recently. You're right. The day one purchases aren't a thing, but when there's a GWP one, then it changes that, right? Like, I was up at midnight and bought the Creel House because I wanted the GWP that came with it. But I wouldn't do that for other sets normally. I'd just wait a while. So GWP is definitely a factor. You can normally pick them up at the commercial events, even at Bricktastic, but they're just a bit more money. Alrighty, right. Where are we? So it's coming along. So we do have a squirrel here. I do like little animals. I think one of the best BrickLink Designer things that I saw recently was I can't remember whether it was Camping Adventure, I think it was, but the minifig had like a balloon animal. It was like a trans blue. Really nice piece. I hadn't seen it before. Okay. I really like this idea of the build cam. Martin, that was a good idea. Means you can actually focus on stuff. Well, that's it. It's one of the things with the Lego. It's better than, so I always say it's better than the other things that I could be spending my money on. And also there's so much else sort of interwoven with it, you know. One of the main things being, like I said earlier, the sort of community support that you get, and just the just people are really nice. It makes a difference. This is a lot of like edge work. I realize how much I'm saying. Sorry about that. I was just about to say it again. I saw a YouTuber that I follow on today doing a video. I'm sure most of you would follow this person or at least know of them, but Brixie. And he did a post about quitting the LAN program so he can sort of broaden what he's doing. He doesn't like the pressure of the review requirement, which makes sense. I mean, he's got a whole city, and his content was originally, you know, all driven towards that. Then it became these reviews, and I think if you look at those reviews, you can see over time a lot of frustration on his part. I think, if nothing else, just because of the workload that it creates and takes him away from what he wants to do, which is build in his city, you know. Which can be a bit of with these the reviews that I do, it can be a bit challenging sometimes when you end up with tons in a backlog that you have to get out, and you just want to work on a mock. I mean, I'm grateful for those companies sending me stuff, but yeah. So it's interesting. Hopefully everyone that's here, all sort of 6 of you, have filled out your Lego review questionnaire. I don't know when that was closing, but it'd be a good opportunity to give some feedback. One of the things that I really liked about Bricktastic actually was there was a lady from Lego Ideas there, and she came up and spoke to me about some of the mocks, but I also got a chance to speak to her about some of the frustrations I had with the Lego Ideas process when I initially got involved with it, and it was really good actually to speak to her, because a lot of those things have changed now. There's been a lot of changes in that process. One of my big frustrations was the fact that when you went on there, you were then tied for 3 years with your model that failed to go through the process. You were tied to an obligation to not do anything with that model for 3 years after the process, which is really challenging, I think, and very annoying. So, for example, if something was doing really well but didn't get the 10,000 or didn't make it on review, one of the things they would do is, after that failure to achieve goal or sort of denial at review, you then couldn't do anything with it for 3 years. So you couldn't put it on Rebrickable, couldn't do any of that. which is disappointing because sometimes I see stuff and I think, oh, I really want that, and I'll reach out to the person that made it when it's been unsuccessful and say, like, would you be willing to share the instructions? And they'll just say, no, I can't. I'm bound to those things, and I couldn't. I built a model. It's a Sherlock Holmes model, and I only recently was able to sort of sell that. It was based on the BBC series, the new one, but I couldn't do anything with it for 3 years past it not achieving 5K. But that's changed apparently. So now you can do all those things as long as it's not currently live. So if it fails or is unsuccessful, you can put it on Replicable, resell it, do what you want. So there's the base. Coming along nicely. Can move on to bag. Lost track. Bag 5. Yeah, it's good to fill in that questionnaire. I think a lot of people have comments about what Lego should do, what they shouldn't do, what annoys them, which is all great. But I feel like communicating that directly to them is quite a useful thing. It's, apart from being quite cathartic because you get a chance to sort of lay out all your gripes, it also can bring about change, you know, rather than just moaning and doing nothing. So I think that questionnaire was a really good thing. So we're on bag 5. Which is a lot of tiles. So let's see how we go. Plates. So this this Saving Private Ryan mock that I'm doing at the moment required 33 of these base plates, and I tell you, it was not cheap. So we had to make a few changes. One of the things I noticed with Rebrickable models is sometimes the designs are quite old, so you need to be aware, because I've had occasions where I will start to build a model on Rebrickable. I'll export the parts to BrickLink, and it will go from an approximate cost of, I don't know, £45 to like a ridiculous amount, like hundreds, and you'll work out it's about the retired pieces. So they'll have, like, they built it so long ago, the instructions, or they built it without really thinking about it, and the parts just cost a fortune. Cheers, Nick. Take it easy. Thank you. There'll be mocks from here on out if we do any more. But thank you for coming by. Speak soon. I also appreciate the LAN members who did also share the link for the questionnaire. Yeah. I don't like to, I try not to get involved in all the conspiracy drama stuff, but because it's just a waste of energy, but it does make you wonder what they're thinking when they're sort of launching these things, and if people like Brixie have sort of seen the writing on the wall, and I don't know, we'll see. I love, this is again one of those nice moments where you put on these plates and everything starts to feel solid. These are the, like, for me, these are the little treat moments. And now I'm going to try and tile it exactly as the instructions tell me. Martin. yeah, the feedback thing was really good. Keep forgetting that I think Lady McBrick has got a stream tonight. I was trying to find a time when none of the people who I watch were doing anything, so I didn't cut across them, and also so I could watch them. But I think I ended up crossing over one of hers by an hour. So sorry, Nicole. Exactly as instructed. I'm doing it exactly as instructed. Tiles are going on as instructed. I will say that when I first put this first brick on, I put it right up against the edge, which is wrong. But I am now doing it exactly as the instructions tell me. I appreciate all your support with this stuff as well, Martin. It's nice to be able to reach out to someone and get some actual positive help. Although, to be fair, I have ended up essentially just mimicking your whole design. I was going to start it with a fan, but I figured I might that would be going too far. You have to serve me with a cease and desist. I love tiling. Again, it's like sorting bricks. It's one of those mindful things. As long as they keep a really nice flow with the pattern, you don't go wrong. Next time I'll show you the fan flick. I don't think I could quite master it to the level you do, but I'll try as a tribute. Still working away. I do as well. It's just yeah, it's relaxing. It really is. It's again, like I said, it's one of those nice moments where you're rewarded for your work so far. It's like, okay, we're going to give you a bit of tiling now. Here's your reward. Have a delight. And then it goes to the mundane after that for a while. Just got some Lego in our office as well, so might do a lunchtime build tomorrow as well. I'm basically just copying everything you're doing, Martin, on the socials. I won't video it. You are an influencer. You have to accept it now. like and subscribe. As long as you don't start I was going to say twerking, but that's probably, you do what you want. Oh, I really do like flying through Thailand. It's nice. I never looked inside of this model on any of their pictures, but I way that somehow this floor feels right for an antique shop. I build quite fast. I feel like I'm going too fast. It's probably because I'm only having to host 6 people. One is me on the other camera, so 5. Oh no, you had back issues. Back issues, man. I used to, when I was younger, I always used to, when people would talk about backs, I would always be like, moaning about a little back. Until recently, and now I know the pain. I understand it. Have you been? You seemed okay on the stream the other day. You didn't seem to be. Well, you hid it very well if you were suffering, or you were drugged up, which seems like sometimes the only thing that actually works. Yeah. Sometimes I always think of those small aches in the lower back though as being like a warning. Now, if I start feeling something, I'm like, right, I'm not carrying that bag to work anymore. I'm going to have to start putting it down when I'm on the train in the morning. You know? There you go. So we're all tiled up. And the base starts to come together. This is going to be a perfect size. I love the size of this. Yeah, you've got to take those small aches as warnings. Definitely. Right. Looking at the time, I will probably do this bag and then we'll knock it on the head for today. It's a big working day tomorrow. But come by the mock stream on Thursday. I think this gets saved and is playbackable, but if you can, that will be good. Because I've always wanted to do one of those. Right. I've shown that already. Let's build. I like the contrast of this. You know, over the years, I have definitely come to recognize, especially looking at doing these reviews of these other sets, come to recognize and appreciate the value of beautifully printed instructions. I know that the BrickLink Designer Program instructions get some criticism, but the actual instructions, just generally speaking, are just such a high quality in comparison to some of the other stuff, some of the other third parties builds. Oh, it's not that one, it's that one. Yay, Martin will be here Thursday. Are you doing a stream tomorrow, Martin? Oh, you're doing Snow White tomorrow. Snow White's house. You are an influencer, because when I saw you post about that, the first thing I did was went on Vinted and got a brand new box, Snow White's house, on a really good deal. So hopefully that'll be here at some point, and I can build along with you when you do your stream. It's not a normal set for me. Again, I still do and say I don't normally buy Lego sets. I generally don't, but I like the idea of buying sets, doing builds with people, and then sort of one of the most enjoyable experiences you can have, which is reverse. This sounds like something rude, but reverse bagging a build and reselling it, sewing it on. I think that I enjoy the idea of buying sets to do sort of builds along with people, whether it's as part of the stream or whether it's watching them do it and just doing it like this. And I think that if I buy sets, it gives more opportunity to do that, but then I can also resell them. eBay is an amazing, and Vinted is a really good system for that. There's some white. I really like the way the white jumps in and contrasts there. That cuts through all of that. What time will you be streaming tomorrow morning? Well, I feel like I wanted to say it was from 6 normally, but maybe that's wrong. That's got to be wrong. 6, yeah. Maverick Monday. So we're adding windows now, so it's starting to take shape a little. Let's see. Ever since Jules showed a mirror and then showed the background of his room, fortunately it was just a Lego sign, so it wasn't a problem. I'm always a bit cautious of reflections. It's like that eBay series where people take pictures for eBay and it's not necessarily including everything that they wanted it to. So this is where my don't use stickers position becomes a bit of an issue, because this window here has actually like a really nice sticker that goes on it saying antique shop. So that's that won't be there for me. It's this one here, but I think it's like on a trans background. Right, 1, 2, 3. One thing I'll notice about, I'll say about this build is it's a very, well, I mean, I'm only 5 bags in, and I think I can see 23, there are at least 23 bags. But one thing I'll say about it is it's a pretty basic build, pretty straightforward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two. What are these two? These two start to provide the structure for the window that sits at the front. And we're gonna do some single. Yeah, you're right. I haven't. When I got this, I got it mainly because it was the only one that I liked out of the batch, but I haven't actually really looked at any of the stuff. So if there is a lot of contents inside, that will be interesting. I mean, you can see I like it. I think it's a really nice looking building. I really do. But I don't think it was necessarily the most popular one. I can't remember what else was in that series. I was watching someone talking about, although I do like some of the third-party companies, someone was talking about loving the idea when developing mocks of working within the system, the Lego system, and how, and I think the conversation came up because one of the things that's interesting about the third-party bricks is that they provide a lot of unique parts that provide building solutions that you wouldn't necessarily get from Lego. But one of the things I'd heard people saying was that they really enjoyed the idea of kind of working within the system to get an outcome, like a challenge, and I do understand that. I definitely do. But I also like sometimes to have a quick way out of a situation where I'm like, I just can't resolve this with Lego. The popcorn wagon. Yeah, I bought that as well, and I wasn't necessarily. In fact, I'm gonna say now, this is bold, but the popcorn wagon is my least. That was revenge for what I'm about to say. My least favorite Lego build, I think, of a long time. Was not interesting. I shouldn't say least favorite. It was a nice design, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. I'm sure someone would love it, but I didn't find it as rewarding or as engaging as like the Camping Adventure one. I really loved the caravan. I love this little tarpaulin. Or the Mushroom Village Martin from that was really nice. You built Adventures. Oh, you built all of them except for the antique shop. Adventures in Transylvania and the Thieves of Tortuga. Yeah. Watching people build those the other day, I was thinking, oh, I would actually probably enjoy those builds. Now, of course, they're a lot more expensive. It's got our little covering for the window. And that is it. Next would be bag 7. We're a bit ahead of me see how big bag 7 is, then I'll free you all of this string. I think I could do bag 7. I'm going to do bag 7 and then it's done. I promise. And then I'll post about the other one next week, or I'll probably do it again on Sunday to finish it, or at least to move it forward. So this is going to be the white external elements of the building. And I really like that contrast that it provides with the white against the tiling. Oh, it's too big. That's what she said. There. 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 My kids used to build with me until I got, they made a schoolboy error there. I was putting this part down, which is just a standard brick, when actually it calls for that, probably because it requires an internal clock or display or something. Right, I love masonry bricks. It's like, it's one of the greatest things when I go in a Lego store and they have masonry on the wall. I get so excited. It's the kind of detail I always need in the builds, and it's just really nice to get a box load of them. I don't know what I'll do with them. I've got sand blue, a ton of sand blue for a wall recently. A ton of orange ones. I just think it offers lots of options. I've been watching a lot of The Office recently. The US. I've never watched the UK. Ricky Gervais. I saw a clip of him being asked which was the sort of the best one, the most popular, and he said, according to my wallet, the American. Yeah, as soon as I see masonry, it is definitely an instant tab. I'm buying whatever I need. I'm getting a box of that off the wall. It always comes in useful. One of the best uses of that, if you haven't seen it, if you go on my Instagram, was a mock build I did for The Departed, and I had a whole box of sand blue, and as soon as I saw it, I just knew that was the color for that room. And it just looks amazing. It's one of my favorite mocks for the color use. But yeah, if ever there's a wall and I see that on there, it's I'm buying it. I've never actually tried. I should calculate cost, see how much it would cost me to buy it off of BrickLink, see if I'm actually saving money, and I can convince myself I'm saving money rather than spending more than I have. Okay, that bag was a very quick bag. Uh-oh. I've done, no, I haven't. What have I done? Let me see. I can see what I did. I hate having to go back because I've rushed. It's moving too fast. I've got to do some wall surgery. Here we go. Disaster. Oh, a mild disaster. Oh, if that's the worst thing that happens today, it's been a good day. There we go. There's the bit I was missing. The squirrels like get me out of here. Okay, and then pow, pow, pow. And I'm making cartoon descriptive sounds. And then some tiles. Oh yeah, I love this kind of detail in builds. Just makes me happy. I once did a whole facade of a building using that kind of technique, and it really is an accent technique. It shouldn't be a whole wall like I did it once. It was painful and costly. Well, that is bag 7. So we are onto bag 8. I'm going to stop there on the build and see. I think so far that tiling was amazing. Love that tiling. Love the little hangover here, the canopy. I love the white and the grey against the brown. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. Nice little build. These are the kind of things that I like. It's rewarding. What I do notice, to your point, Martin, is there are a lot of studs in here. So if it's anything like the Western general store, it will probably be packed out with detail. The bags do reflect that. Looking at bag 10, and it's full of teapots. So yeah, probably going to be heavy teapotting going on. So that's that. That's the car, which I like. Shame about the window breakage, but can resolve that. Very unusual to have that in one of these sets. I'll swap it out for one I've got. And we've got our 3 little minifigs, which are a nice batch. I love the this cardigan. Teapotting and tea. Yes, it's just, yeah, I love that cardigan. I love this hairpiece as well. Get use out of that. So there you go. We can, let me see if I can, since this is meant to be a test session. Let me see if this works. Oh, no. Let me see if... Let's see. Not quite what I was going for. But there we go. So we're some way along. All right. Thank you for everyone for coming along and for helping me test this out. I will try and we'll finish this probably next Sunday, but I'll also do the mock on Thursday, which will be actually really looking forward to that one because that barn looks amazing and I'm keen to put it together so I can work out how we can modify it. But apart from that, thank you for coming and thanks for the support, Martin, both in the chat and before. I appreciate it. It is a very daunting experience and I'm not quite sure what happens now. I guess I just end stream, but I'm not sure what goes on after that. So I'm sure to find out. So thank you, everyone. And we'll speak to you on Thursday. Monday, 6 p.m. Mad Libs. Monday stream. Bye, everyone.